Why do Genshin Impact players hate certain characters so much? Today, we're diving into the main complaints, rumors, and actual reasons why some characters are constantly catching hate. Ready? Let's go! The male traveler has been a storm magnet in the fandom. The hate started as soon as it became obvious that Hoyoverse was pushing him as the face of the game. He showed up in most official artwork and banners. That especially ticked off players who chose Lumine. Drama would explode every time Aether got spotlighted and his sister was left in the shadows. It hit a peak when a piece of fan service promo art came out featuring Aether in a clearly romantic pose, with no alternate version for Lumine or other male characters. Fans were furious. Where's the equal representation? Why the bias? Some even launched online petitions over it. Compared to Aether, Lumine catches much less hate. But when she does, it's often as collateral damage. Some fans argue that she's overly romanticized in shipping and fanfics, turning her into an all-purpose waifu for literally any scenario. There were also complaints that certain fandom spaces were oversaturated with Lumin content. But honestly, most of the criticism around her is just fallout from the war between fanbases, not from the character herself. Xiao is one of the most divisive characters in terms of popularity. He's adored for his style, tragic backstory, and lone wolf vibe, which, ironically, is exactly why he gets hate. Some players think his character is overhyped, too romanticized, and his gameplay repetitive. What really drives people up the wall are the endless fanfics and ship art pairing him with everyone under the sun. Venti, Lumine, Aether, Hu Tao, even Zhongli. These ships often spark drama and trolling in fandom circles. There's even a common take. Xiao is just an edgy jumper boy, get over it. Xianyun. She hasn't been around for long, but that didn't stop the hate. First complaint? Her appearance. When she attacks, you can see her tights, and players were mad that there was no pattern or detail on them. Second issue? Her name. It's too similar to other characters like Xinyan, Xiangling, and Xingqiu, which makes things confusing. Newer players especially struggle with that. Reddit threads even joked, "Did Hoyoverse run out of names?" Mualani. She's been dubbed the latest sunshine waifu, and not in a good way. Her overly cheerful attitude, generic kindness, and lack of standout story or gameplay made her feel like a copy-paste of characters like Amber, Barbara, or Navia. In the Genshin community, this kind of character archetype quickly becomes a target, especially if they bring little value to meta teams. Haters love to say, she's just there to smile and be useless. When Zhongli first dropped, he got wrecked by criticism. Players expected a powerful Geo Archon and instead got a pretty model with paper-thin performance. Memes started flying within days. I pulled the Archon and got weaker. It became one of the biggest backlash moments in Genshin history. Hoyoverse had to revamp his kit, buffing his shields and damage. But even after the fix, he kept getting hate. Now for being too OP and for having a personality some players found boring. His long-winded philosophical dialogue became a meme itself. Zhongli monologuing while enemies die of old age. Gaming didn't get hate because of his combat or design. It was all about his story presentation. His narrative arc focused on his father-son relationship, but it was told in such a soft, overly sentimental way that many players just couldn't take it seriously. "He looks like the guy from a chocolate commercial," one Redditor said. Others complained that he barely does anything in combat and plays like a filler NPC. Overall, he failed to leave an impression. Shenhe is easily one of the most debated characters among newer players. On one hand, she's a powerful cryo buffer. On the other, completely useless outside of a narrow niche. Many people claim she only exists to make Ayaka look good, and that, without her, she just collects dust in your roster. Some fans were also disappointed that her final character model didn't include a visible belly button, which was featured in early concept art. The fandom took it as censorship and compared her to other female characters who did keep theirs. Her cold and distant personality also split the community. Some saw her as a cool, stoic waifu, while others just called her emotionally unavailable auntie, Yoimiya is a textbook example of how a beloved, cheerful character can still get a ton of hate. Right after her release, she was slammed for being useless. Her ult didn't work well in crowds, her targeting was buggy, and she was super squishy. Later on, players figured out solid builds for her, but the negative perception had already set in. People also complained about her overly childish personality and non-stop fireworks talk. "If I hear Boom Boom Bakuden one more time, I'm uninstalling," was a common sentiment on Reddit and YouTube comments. Ayaka. For a while, Ayaka was basically a must-pull, but that came with a dark side. The anti-Ayaka crowd grew just as fast. Players got sick of her constant reruns, her fans pushing her into every team comp discussion, and endless debates about her being the best cryo DPS. Her infamous barcode bangs and ultra-polite, perfect Japanese daughter persona started to rub people the wrong way. Plus, her relationship with her brother became meme and fanfic fuel, and not always in the most wholesome way. That only added to the divide. Noelle is kind of a running joke in the community. A lot of players see her as too weak, unless you get her to C6. She's often described as the maid only the fanatics take seriously. The hate mostly targets her fanbase, not her. Noelle mains are notorious for jumping into every build discussion and yelling, "She can solo Spiral Abyss, skill issue." The joke, "Noelle mains are a cult," didn't come from nowhere, and it's part of why some people avoid her altogether. Mavuika was already getting heat before she even officially released. Players called her lightning bolt bodysuit too revealing, and the fact that she shared a banner with another new character made it worse. Couldn't they just separate them? Why are they forcing two newbies into one banner? On top of that, people pointed out how much she resembled a character from Tower of Fantasy, which kicked off accusations of plagiarism. Twitter went wild. Her voice, her animations, even her idle pose became fuel for drama. Navia's reception was complicated. At first, people hated her for being Geo, which at the time was considered a dead element. Then the criticism shifted to her personality. Too cheerful, too loud, too overly optimistic. "She's just another Amber," people said. "If you mixed Barbara, Amber, and Hu Tao in a blender, that's Navia." Some also felt like her bright colors and flashy look didn't match Fontaine's vibe. She was polarizing from day one. Keeking might be popular, but she's also the unofficial face of bad luck. Pulling her instead of a limited 5-star became a meme. Congrats, you just lost your 50-50 to Keeking again. On top of that, people complain that she barely gets screen time. Her damage isn't impressive anymore, and her mechanics feel outdated. Some players think her story arc is bland, while others say she never got the development she deserved. But really, most of the hate boils down to one thing. She keeps showing up when no one wants her to. Collei is loved by fans of the official manga, but her in-game debut didn't live up to the hype. Her kit requires specific setups, her damage is mid, and her cooldowns are annoyingly long. People also constantly compare her to Sucrose, and not in a flattering way. Haters say she's just another trauma girl with nothing new to offer. Even her tragic backstory involving the Fatui felt like a rehash of tired tropes to some players. Instead of sympathy, she got eye rolls. Chaska gets hate for multiple reasons. First, her design. The floating revolver, the dramatic outfit, the non-traditional silhouette, many players felt she just didn't fit Genshin's overall aesthetic. Second, her power level. She was stronger than Wanderer in key areas, which made his fans furious. Some said she ruined game balance, others just didn't like how she looked. Between her visuals and her stats, Chaska became one of the most controversial additions to the roster. Ayato didn't spark massive outrage, but he still has his fair share of critics. Some players think his personality is too bland, polite, controlled, and kind of neutral. Feels like he's always watching, never doing, as one comment put it. Gameplay-wise, people pointed out the obvious. He's basically Hydro Ayaka. That led to complaints about lazy design and recycled mechanics. Others dismissed him as Kamisato's boring big brother, with no identity of his own. Yae Miko is one of those characters who showed up with sky-high expectations, and just as much backlash. When she launched, her kit felt clunky. Her totems often missed enemies or failed to activate, making her damage inconsistent. Hoyoverse had to patch her mechanics pretty quickly, but by then the damage was done, reputation-wise. And then there's her personality. Some players love her foxy charm and sassy, smug attitude. Others? They think she's just another fan service trope, smug for the sake of it with nothing underneath. She's one of the most love her or hate her types in the whole game. Neuvillette caught hate for being too good. His ult melts enemies, his rotation is smooth, and his damage output is insane, to the point where people started saying he breaks the game. It especially annoyed players who had dumped tons of resources into other Hydro DPS. On top of that, his relationship with Furina raised eyebrows. Some fans thought he treated her too coldly, while others said he was weirdly overprotective. One Reddit comment summed it up. Neuvillette is just Zhongli in a judge outfit. Clorinde is one of the weirdest cases of pre- and post-release hate. Before her debut, she was slammed for being too sexy. Short skirt, half-unbuttoned shirt, strong dominatrix vibes. Then after Hoyoverse toned her outfit down, another part of the fandom got mad. Why are you censoring her? So now she gets hate from both sides. Too revealing, and not revealing enough. You really can't win. Venti's been around since day one, loved by many, and still managed to stir up hate. Some players called him a lazy Archon who prefers drinking and playing the lyre over solving Mondstadt's problems. Then there was a bug where artifacts could fall into the void during his burst, causing players to lose rare loot. That alone earned him the nickname Venti the Trash Collector. And for some, his carefree attitude just clashes with their idea of what an Archon should be. Wanderer might just be the most hated character in Genshin history. His arc from villain to ally didn't sit right with a lot of players, especially Nahida fans, who were furious about how disrespectful he was toward her. Then came the official Catboy-style artwork. That alone sparked total chaos. Some people started posting real-life videos of cats being mistreated as some kind of joke linked to Wanderer, which led to real-world backlash and even social media moderation. Accusations ranged from Archon hater to traitor to symbol of internet insanity. Things have calmed down since then, but one sassy line from him in a new event is still enough to reignite the war. Dory caught flack for supposedly scamming Kaveh. She sold him gear on credit, which supposedly pushed him into debt. But if you actually read the quest, Kaveh agreed to the deal himself. She just ran her business. That didn't stop people from calling her shady. Some also found her voice grating, especially in English. Dory the Soul Merchant memes spread fast, and her image as a morally questionable salesgirl stuck. Kachina is hated for one big reason. He's a whiner. His whole vibe is gloomy, self-pitying, always complaining about his life. Players say he feels like anime Simon to 47, a stock character with nothing fresh to offer. Even his fancy cutscenes didn't help much. People called him forgettable, flat, and annoying. In a game full of dramatic and bold personalities, he just fades into the background. Or worse, drags the mood down. Mona's case is unusual. The hate isn't about her kit, but her constant habit of ruining pity. She's one of the standard 5 stars who keeps showing up when people are gunning for limited characters. Mona instead of an Archon, again, is a meme by now. On top of that, her role in the story hasn't really evolved. Despite being introduced as a mysterious, intelligent astrologer, she sort of disappeared into irrelevance. Some players say she's outdated, both in mechanics and in presence. And that's the list. The loudest, and some not-so-loud reasons why certain Genshin Impact characters get so much hate. Do you think it's deserved or completely overblown? Drop a comment and let me know who you think is the most overrated, or maybe the most underrated character in the game. I'm already working on part 2, because trust me so. There are plenty more characters who face the wrath of the fandom. Tell me in the comments who you want to see covered next. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video.